Welcome everyone. I'm Michael Hurst. I'm the Vice President of Marketing for Sun Tours, and I'm super excited to have you guys out here today. We've got some special guests here. Diana and Suchi from 39 Degrees South are here to talk to you guys about this wonderful tour of Australia and New Zealand for next October. Right. So without further ado, I'm going to let them take it away and run you through all the details and everything that's so helpful about this tour. I'm going to jump over here and help you with some AV real quick.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mikey. Really appreciate it. Good day, everybody. Thank you for coming here. It's a real pleasure to be here today. And thank you, Sun Tours, for inviting us to be here today so we can show you a little bit of what you're going to see in Australia. We spent a few days in New Mexico, and we actually loved the stunning cliffs. We went to the Bandelier National Park. It was so beautiful. But we want to show you how beautiful Australia and New Zealand is today, and that's why we are here. So without further ado, I'd like to start off with the presentation. And what we're going to do is basically run through the program without going too much into the history of each aspect of it, because the guides and the drivers will take care of that. So here, the program is going to be from your departure date until you leave New Zealand. So you're all going to be leaving on the 12th of October, 2024, and we'll arrive into Australia on the 14th, when we cross the date line and enter into Australia. Australia is just as large as the mainland USA, and New Zealand is about as large as the state of Israel, just to get a reference point there. So we spoke about the major cities, 14 to 15 hours flying time from West Coast to Sydney, which is a port city on the East Coast. And we are about 22 hours ahead of at least this time zone here in Australia, in the US. So it's about 4 in the morning actually there. Well, this is specific, it's not Pacific time. Average temperatures are about 65 to 75 springtime in Australia for us in October. So that is something to keep in mind, and it's getting warmer as we go along over the tour. And the temperatures between New Zealand and Australia are not very different. So it's almost the same temperatures there. And we have more information. There's a URL and
trying to get it might be under this display settings thing.
Website. And I think we have a video. Oops, sorry, I moved.
So it's written.
What a beautiful day to go snorkeling. You guys been out to the Great Barrier Reef before? The Great Barrier Reef? Huh? Do they?
Where am I?
Australia. And you look like you need a holiday.
Show us what you got.
Let's go. Welcome to the Sydney Opera House.
It's remarkable.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Good night. We're mates. G'day, my name is Freddie. Wow, there's nothing like Australia.
Special, huh?
It would make a great movie.
So what are you waiting for? Come take it out.
We come from a land down under.
Hope you enjoyed that short Good Eye presentation. It's a campaign that Tourism Australia promoted since last year. So we want you to come and say good day to us in Australia. So I'm going to quickly run through the itinerary now. Oops, here we go. So you arrive into Sydney on the 14th of October, and I know from experience that most flights arrive into Sydney early in the morning, 8:30, 9, depending on which airline you take. And obviously you will clear your customs, immigration, and once you're out of immigration, your tour manager will all take you to the exit, and you will meet our local guide holding a Sun Tours signboard. And he or she will escort you to the coach, which is a short distance away from the exit building. Once you board the coach, now since the check-in time in Australia is 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you will have a short orientation of the city, just to give you the feel of Sydney as a city. And we will have an early lunch at a restaurant, a nice 2-course meal. And once that's done, we travel a little bit around the city and then check you into the hotel. Now, the hotel you're staying in is the 4 Points Sheraton Hotel. It's actually a new hotel that was opened about 2 years ago. And it's part of the Marriott chain, Sheraton chain. It's a 4-star property, very comfortable, and in the city itself. So that afternoon is free for you to freshen up, and in the evening, we will have an early dinner, either in the hotel itself. It's a 3-course meal with a glass of wine or beer, and or it could be a restaurant within walking distance to the hotel. We don't want you to overstress yourself on day one. So day 2, your guide will meet you in the lobby at a designated time with the control manager, and you can set off on a day tour of Sydney. And we're going to start with the tour of the Sydney Opera House. Now, the Sydney Opera House have their own guides who are specialist guides on what the Opera House is all about. So it's a 1-hour tour, and there are a lot of steps to climb up and down during that tour. So we want you all to be aware that this is something that you will be doing. So they will take you inside the Opera House. Maybe you will see some of the theaters there, unless there's a rehearsal going on for a major play, and give you an idea of the architecture and the history and the background. So I won't go into that because they are the experts in the Sydney Opera House. Get your pictures taken. It's a beautiful sight. And then we continue on from Sydney Opera House to other parts of the city. We'll take you to Bondi Beach. And Mrs. Macquarie's chair, you'll be able to view the Sydney Harbour Bridge as well from the Opera House. You're on your own until 5 o'clock, 5:30, with the guide. And later we have a dinner cruise in the Sydney Harbour Bay. It would be Captain Cook or something similar, which will take you for about 2 hours in the Harbour Bay under the bridge past the Opera House. So you're not only in the Opera House while during in the morning, but in the evening you'll be able to see it from the bay. You get a beautiful view of the Sydney Opera House. And once dinner is done on the cruise, you're back to your hotel. So that's day 2. And day 3, we have a full day of touring. You'll be leaving around 8:39 in the morning towards the Blue Mountains, which is about 2 hours drive from Sydney. And your local guide will be accompanying you and give you commentary along the way. So the Blue Mountains, you will visit the scenic world, where you have the opportunity to go on these rides. They're not really rides, but more of a viewpoint. For example, the cableway, you go on the cableway, it's a short 10-minute back and forth ride, where you'll be able to see the Three Sisters, the valley, and the gorgeous mountains. And then you also have the steepest rail down in Blue Mountains. You get to experience that as well. And the cableway. It is steep, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go like that. What's that like?
Yes. So it's nothing to be scared about, nothing to be worried
No,
about.
it's very
absolutely
safe.
safe.
Is it 1,000 feet? Is that like-
Pretty much.
Oh, my
Yeah.
God.
You spend about an hour and a half there, and then we'll take you to a restaurant that's close by. It's called the Lookout Point, where you can also get some beautiful views of the valley, the mountains. The Blue Mountains are known because of the eucalyptus that it produces, and the sunshine that sort of reflects on the leaves that gives it that blue hue. That is the reason why it's called the Blue Mountains. And once you've had lunch, the coach will take you to the Featherdale Wildlife Park. And the Featherdale Wildlife Park is a wildlife park, not only a wildlife park, but also a conservation for the animals there, wildlife there. It's about an hour's drive from Scenic World to Pleasurebent. You'll get to see the most unique wildlife we have in Australia. And that's something that we're very proud of. You will never see them anywhere else. You will never see kangaroos in any other parts of the world, right? Emus, platypus, wombats. And of course, we also have the little penguins that you can see, which you'll again see in Phillip Island in Melbourne, but we'll come to that later. So you spend about an hour and a half at the wildlife park and get back to the city, which is about an hour and a half drive into the city. So the day is done around 5:36 that evening. You're on your own that night for dinner. There are lots of restaurants around the hotel that you're going to be staying in. So you shouldn't have any issues with finding a nice restaurant to eat, Asian, Australian, whatever the cuisine might be. And now we are all set to leave from Sydney to the heart of Australia. Ulara is the name that we have for Uluru or Ayers Rock. So this is the drone view of the resort area that you're going to be staying in. There are four different types of accommodation. There's 5-star, there's 4-star, 3-star. You'll all be staying in the Desert Garden Hotel, which is a good 4-star property. You'll be there for 2 nights. And depending on the time that you arrive, again, check-in is at 3. If the flight's arriving a little earlier, you can just walk down from the hotel. There's a very nice gallery out there. The town area, which is very, very small, is just within walking distance. So check in at 3, and that evening you will have a transfer by coach. And these coaches are organized by the resort, right? So there is no guide that's accompanying you from Sydney to Ulara, right? The driver who's going to pick you up will have all the information. They drop you, they pick you up from the Ayers Rock Hotel, take you to the resort. But the resort people organize these coaches to take you to this area where you will actually have dinner. And sunset comes in, you will see the field of lights. This field of lights is an installation by the artist Bruce Monroe. These are sort of tulip bulbs, solar powered. And once it's dark, you will see that they're all lit up, just like you see in this. It's not in this picture.
There is a slide.
There is a slide, yes.
It's up in front of that.
So this is the rock, Uluru. This is how it looks. Now, the size of the field of lights is 7 football fields. So if you can imagine 7 football fields here, that's the size of the field of lights. So there are guided pathways. So after dinner, you have a beautiful dinner. It's Aussie cuisine. You have beverages as well included there. And once that's done, you also have a star talk by the local Aboriginal person. And then you can walk through those guided pathways into the field of lights. You can spend 30 minutes, you can spend an hour until everybody leaves. The coaches will remain there. So most people would spend about an hour at the most.
Yeah, it's stunning. It's
Looks
absolutely
beautiful.
It is.
And the lights keep changing colors as you're walking through, and it's all solar powered. And it's like you're in fairyland.
So this is something that you will see once in a lifetime. Bruce Monroe actually has these field of lights in other parts of the world, and I think there's one he had in California as well some time back. But and now he's trying to do it in New York here. So that's pretty much ends your day, and you're back to the resort. But the next day is a long day. You get up very early in the morning, pick up your box breakfast, and you will proceed on a sunrise view of Uluru, the rock. And the sunrise view is actually spectacular because as the sun rises and the sun hits the rock, the colors of the rock sort of change, you know. So that's something to be viewed, and it's an amazing view. Now, the driver is the one that will be taking you, and he's an expert in that region, and he's going to be telling you all about Uluru and the stories that revolve around that. The Aboriginal communities that live there, how long they've lived there. And you will continue on a tour of the base. You're not going to go around the entire base, it will take a long time. He will take you to certain sections which are very, very important. There are stories that he will tell you about the Aboriginal people who live there and what it means to them. And then you're back to the hotel by 10:30, freshen up a little bit, and then just walking distance from the resort, you will meet another person. And this is where you're going to have a dot painting workshop. The dot painting workshop is a workshop that's run by the local Aboriginal people, the Anangu people as we call them. There's an interpreter, because he or she would only be speaking in Aboriginal language. The interpreter will tell you what the colors mean, what the shapes mean for each of these drawings that they have. And you'll actually be given a canvas, a brush, and some paints. And once you understand the whole dot painting aspect of it, as to what these colors mean, what the dots mean, what's the river, you are asked to actually paint your own story on the canvas with the knowledge that you've gained. So this is a workshop that's about 90 minutes. It's a very relaxed kind of a workshop. It is done outdoors. Usually in summer, we do it indoors because it's extremely hot. But in spring and winter, it's done outdoors. It's a short walking distance from the hotel. It's a thoroughly enjoyable workshop. And once you're done, you're asked to take your canvas with you and the drawing is yours.
No tattoos. Huh?
No.
No,
All right. New Zealand.
wish.
We get them in New Zealand.
Draw what you want. So lunch is on your own that day. There are restaurants in the hotel. There's a small town there. You get a variety of smaller restaurants, Asian as well as Australian. Take some rest because again, in the evening, you're going to set out to see the sunset of Uluru. And again, the sunset is again spectacular in terms of the light on the rock and the change in color. So you will be able to see the difference between the sunrise view and the sunset view of Uluru, which is something to be seen, to be believed.
Then what times are you talking about? 6 in the morning and 8 at night? Or
It depends on the season. So once
on
we
October 24th?
yeah, so it could be around 6 in the morning for
6 in the morning.
sunrise. It could be a few minutes earlier, but you will leave earlier because you need to get to the
Yes,
viewpoints.
yes. Oh, yes.
Same thing with the sunrise. You don't want to be there just when the sun is setting. You want to be there a little earlier,
Yeah.
get all those beautiful pictures of the rock. 10 minutes earlier, 5 minutes earlier, or whatever,
So it's,
until it sets, and it's until it's fully set. Then you can see how it looks.
so it's not like Alaska, sunset is at midnight or.
No.
No.
Definitely not.
Definitely.
Watch it, oh no.
And so you're back to the hotel after the sunset view.
Can I ask about the day before we're having a dinner and seeing a sunset? Is it in the same place,
It's a different
further away?
it's a different area because the field of lights actually the dinner is in a sort of an elevated area. You will see the sunset, but you won't be able to see the
The
colors that you really
And
need
you
to
don't
see.
see the rock from the field of light.
Oh,
You can't see Uluru at all.
oh,
So
all
it's a
right.
different area, but it's more for the experience of the dinner
Yeah.
as well as the
And
field
the
of
field.
lights and the
Oh,
star
okay.
talk, the food, the wines, etc. The sunset viewing area is again a different view area, so that's totally not in the same place. And
And
so
you're pronouncing
Uluru,
Ulu?
Uluru.
Uluru.
Yulara is the name of the town, but Uluru is the Aboriginal word for it, Uluru. And Ayers Rock is the airport. So
Tell me again, the pronunciation.
Yulara, Yulara,
Ulada,
Yulara,
and second one?
Ulu,
Ulu.
Ulu.
Okay.
Ulu.
I get it.
You will once you're there.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's not, that's easy, but you're ignoring the Y. Like,
Yulara.
you lie.
Yulara.
No, you're not.
So,
I'll get it.
so that pretty much ends your stay in Yulara. And now you're heading to Kent, which is on the northern part of the country. A very tropical city, very close to, I mean, the other countries, Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, across the ocean that side. Warmer and humid in Kent. It's about 2 hours flight from Ulara, from Ayers Rock, 2 hours, 15 minutes. And depending on what time you arrive, again, the check-in is that you'll be met by a local guide in Cairns, transferred to the hotel. That day, dinner is at the hotel or at a restaurant within walking distance. You're staying at the Pacific Hotel, Cairns, which is very, very central, just 3 minutes away from the pier where you're going to be taking your Great Barrier Reef cruise the next day. Centrally located for restaurant. There's also a night market there, so you can just walk around, explore the Esplanade area, which is beautiful. This is part of the Esplanade, by the way. I took these pictures in July. This is winter. Pictures are taken in winter. It's spectacular. Of course, that the Ferris wheel is there in the night, but this is exactly how it looks. This is exactly how it looks. So the next day, you're going to be taking a boat. So you'll be actually walking to the marina and checking into your Great Barrier Reef cruise. Now, usually the cruise departs at 9 in the morning, so you're supposed to get in there a little earlier, check in for the cruise, carry a towel from the hotel, carry your swimmers, some lotion, your sunglasses and hat, because you're going to be out. Right? It's about, so you're getting into a boat, which is the Ocean Spirit. And on the Ocean Spirit boat, there is a marine biologist who will actually be giving you a talk on the marine life around the area. So you learn a little bit about the marine life. It's about a 2-hour boat ride out to the outer reef. Right, there is the inner reef and we have the outer reef. We prefer that our guests go to the outer reef because the reef is much better. So you'll be going to this place called Michaelmas Cay. And the reason why we chose it is there might be a few people who don't want to swim. So when you get to the Michaelmas Cay, there's a smaller boat that takes you to this sand island. It's like an island, mini island. It's a restricted area in terms of it's a bird sanctuary. So you can see lots of birds. There's a limited space in the beach that you can walk around. So people who don't want to snorkel can just walk around on the beach or just laze around for some time. Those who want to snorkel, there's snorkeling equipment given. Just go to the beach, just walk from the beach and snorkel. It's beautiful reefs there. Spend about 2 hours there, and then you're back to the boat. And you have refreshments on the boat. Your lunch is on board. It's a buffet meal, so you have all sorts of options: salads, bread, pasta, seafood. Yep. It's a very nice experience, and you're back to the Marina Pier by 5 p.m. So that pretty much ends your day. It's a beautiful day, and make sure you get your towels back to the hotels so that you don't miss it. And you're free that evening to go wherever you want. Lots of restaurants in the area. The next day, you will meet your guide in the hotel. We are going to go to the rainforest. So this is Michaelmas Cay, just to quickly give you an idea of what it looks like. These are actually my pictures taken in July. It's absolutely beautiful, serene, and at that particular time of the, I think we were the only boat there at that time. Yeah. So you won't see.
They're the only ones that go there, actually.
They're the only ones that, so you won't see hundreds and thousands of people there. No, it's only your boat that you'll see, your people on the boat. And many of them, will go on for maybe an introductory diving lesson and pay for it directly. Some may not be interested in snorkeling. Some may just want to swim, whatever they want to do. It's from the Ocean Spirit. And these are some of the birds that you will see there. They come and nest there. It's beautiful.
How far out do you have to go to see the reef area when you're snorkeling?
From
Not
here,
able- from here to
Not very far.
you could like just swim out like maybe,
the front door.
yeah.
Oh,
The front door.
Yeah,
Just
and
walking
you
there.
can see all the fish and it's fabulous.
And there's this whole, you can see the reef right from the front door onward, but you go a little further, there's this whole section of reef that's amazing. Spend an hour, just laze around, do what you want to do. It's a day very well spent, and it is one of the iconic experiences for us. Anybody coming into Australia, they don't want to miss in the Great Barrier Reef. Look, in July, we didn't feel the cold at all. I mean, you're given that
You
wetsuit.
get a wetsuit.
Wetsuit, yeah,
They
yeah,
give you wetsuits, they give you flippers, they give you snorkeling
equipment,
equipment,
so you won't feel the
as
cold at
well
all.
as life vests. So they
And
give you everything.
There's a lifeguard that's on the beach there, looking at what's going on. There are usually two people there. If anybody needs help, with the snorkeling, the equipment itself, they will help you put it on, test it out for you, and, sometimes they even come with you onto into the water, just to let you know how it works.
And they
So-
also offer guided tours, which you can book, like you can have a guide take you snorkeling.
And will they show us how to snorkel?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I don't know. But I'd love to.
Yes.
It might be a little unnerving for the first timers, but once you get the hang of it, it's like it's smooth sailing. It's like you're just floating on water, you're looking at the reef and the beautiful marine life.
It looks like the water's calm because I've gone snorkeling where there's waves.
No,
And
no.
it's hard sometimes.
The particular day that we went out was actually a very windy day, and I was wondering how to be out here. But it was very calm here,
Okay,
out at this, at that distance.
that's
It
great.
didn't seem like it was very, very windy, or it was windy, but we didn't feel it.
And they also do a glass bottom boat if you don't want to actually go
okay.
snorkeling on your own. But it's different.
It's not the snorkeling.
Yes,
Right.
because from the snorkeling, you actually see all the beautiful colors. In the glass bottom boat, sometimes the colors are lost because of
The glass.
you're going lower, I think, and it's like more, you can see the shapes and stuff, but the colors are not as bright.
Oh, wow.
Right, so that's also part of the experience, the glass bottom boat and the snorkeling, so you can do both. You'll have enough time for all that. So that pretty much ends that particular day, and then you're going the next day to the rainforest. You meet your guide, transfer by coach to the Sky Rail station, where you will take the cableway, Sky Rail up to the Kuranda village. Now, the Kuranda village is an Aboriginal town. It looks, and there's lots of restaurants, shops, and things like that. But the whole reason we take you to Kuranda is for the rainforest and for the Aboriginal experience that you will see there. So the Pamagiri Aboriginal dance performance is something that you will see. They will talk to you about the didgeridoo, the instrument that they perform. There's also you can try testing out throwing a boomerang, for example. You can try a hand at that. You will have lunch as well in the rainforest station buffet area. It's a simple buffet meal. There are meats, salads, soup, breads, and vegetables. Nothing fancy, but adequate. And you spend the day there, and there's some little bit of time to walk around the village, and then you will take the train back to Kent. To freshwater station from where you will be transferred by coach to the hotel. And there's also an army duck experience while you're in Kuranda, which is a land amphibious kind of a vehicle, right? So you're in that vehicle for about half an hour. The ranger takes you into the rainforest, explains the trees, what it means to them, and it also goes in the water, and you get an idea of what the rainforest is all about. It's short 30-minute ride. So that day is which ends at 5 p.m. So the train ride itself is about 90 minutes from Kuranda down to Freshwater Station.
90 minutes?
90 minutes. And you get to stop at a couple of places. One of them is the Barren Falls. It's a nice viewpoint. Everybody gets off the train to see the falls. Depending on how much of water, rainfall they've had that season, it can be, there might be lots of water. There may not be that much water, but we've seen falls at any time of the year. So Barren Falls, that's the train journey that you see there. And this is the army duck, the boomerang throwing, and some of the Aboriginal people that explain their culture, their history a little bit. It's not very extensive, but you get a fair idea of what it is. And that ends your day in Cairns, and your next day you'll be flying into Melbourne, a 2 hours, 45 minutes flight from Cairns to Melbourne. So you're flying from the northern part of Australia down to the southern part of Melbourne. Melbourne is a very cosmopolitan city, the most livable city voted 3-4 times in the last 4-5 years. So Melbourne and Sydney are the most populated cities in Australia. So we would say about 6 million people live in Melbourne, maybe about 7 in Sydney. More than 200 languages spoken in the city of Melbourne, because it's a potpourri of immigrants from all parts of the world. We love Melbourne. We're from Melbourne. You've been there for 11 years. We simply love that city. So the day you arrive into Melbourne, you'll be met by a local guide at the airport. And Melbourne Airport works a little differently in the sense that the coaches are not allowed to park right in front of the airport terminal. They're parked a little away. So once everybody has collected their bags, the guide will call for the coach. It comes into the Bay Area coach parking lane. Everybody boards the coach, and it's a 25-minute drive from the airport to the city. And depending on what time the flight arrives, there'll be a short orientation of the city. The guide will point out some of the most important sites like the sports precinct. We have the Rod Laver Arena if you're interested in tennis. The MCG, the Melbourne Cricket Ground, if you're interested in cricket. So we play footy. We have the Australian football, footy, what we call it. There's rugby, which is very popular as well. And we also have the Formula One racing. So it's the sports capital of Australia. It's also the food capital of Australia, and it is also the fashion capital of Australia. So that's why we love Melbourne. Food and some of the best coffee you'll ever taste in the city of Melbourne. Yes, people love the coffee in Melbourne, and if you'll have time to experience that. You're staying at the Pan Pacific Hotel, which is right next to the convention center, just 5 minutes. I mean, there's lots of shops and restaurants near the Pan Pacific Hotel itself, not a few minutes walk, and you'll come to an area, the South Bank area, many coffee shops there, baristas. Do take some time off to explore that park. It's right on the Yarra River, so it's a beautiful walk. So that ends your day in the sense that once you're checked into your hotel, dinner is on your own. There are many options for restaurants in the area there. South Bank has a number of restaurants. It's just a 5-10 minute walk, but Pan Pacific itself has restaurants. So the morning the next day is actually a free day for you to do a few things on your own. Get yourself a cup of coffee, walk down the banks, look at the river, just sit down and see what's going on around you. It's just an amazing place to be. When we have some free time and we go in the city, we just sit on a bench and look at all the people walking around, and there's music playing, on the promenade. It's a nice way to spend a few hours.
So we're free all day?
Not all day.
Oh.
You will leave that afternoon to Phillip Island. Phillip Island is a 2-hour drive from the city. So the guide will give you a little bit of history on the island itself. Now, the reason you're going to Phillip Island is to view the penguin parade, which is a natural phenomenon that takes place at the Phillip Island National Park, where the penguins at sunset, let's say dusk, walk out from the ocean, and you can see these little penguins. They're about 1 foot tall. And they actually count the number of penguins, and every day they put up the numbers that walk out from the ocean. And some days it can be 1,000, right? So the day starts by you going into Phillip Island. You first go into the Koala Conservatory. You will spend some time at the conservation area, learn about the koalas. What are they doing? How are they saving the koala wildlife? It's all about conservation. Spend some time, an hour, then you go on to visit the Nobbies. The Nobby, this is just Melbourne. So the Nobbies is the southernmost point there of Phillip Island. There's a short boardwalk. You can walk around there a little bit, spend some time at the Nobbies area. Then we'll take you to a local restaurant for a 2-course dinner and bring you back to the national park to view the penguin parade. Now, this is the Penguin Plus viewing area. It's sort of a layered seating area. It's free seating for anybody. So we urge you to just go and occupy the best seat that you want. There's a ranger there who will talk to you about the penguins. Photography is not allowed because it sort of disturbs the penguins. So they'll tell you more about penguin life itself and what they're trying to do. And you will actually see as you go along on the boardwalk, that the burrows, you'll see hundreds of burrows where these penguins come out from the ocean and get into those burrows. It's something that they do every day. It may not be the same penguin, but literally every day. And they're now building more burrows because they're finding more penguins coming in from the ocean. They have actually spent millions of dollars during COVID, create a brand new visitor center there. They have some interactive space as well. It's really stunning. And this is something that you will see you'll see a penguin at the Featherdale Wildlife Park as well, but it's not the same as seeing a penguin walking out of the ocean. It's a natural phenomenon that takes place every day. And the Penguin Plus viewing area is where you'll see the penguins walking right there. Right there. So that's an experience not to be missed. But it's a long day that night because you're looking at the penguins only at dusk, which means it's already, depending on the time, it could be around 7:30. So back to the hotel, you're back at 10 o'clock. In summer, they come out much later at 8:30 in the night, so you're back much later. So this is springtime. So that's a long day, and that ends your day that day. And the next day, we are heading to Yarra Valley. Now, Australia has about 60 different wine regions, all right? And we produce more than 1 billion liters of wine, more than 1 billion. So the Yarra Valley is one of the most famous wine producing regions in Victoria, state of Victoria. So we are actually going to head out. It's a short drive, 1 hour into the valley. From the city, we go first straight to Rayner's Orchard. Len Rayner, the guy you see here, owns the orchard. It's a fruit orchard. And he gives a fantastic tractor ride and talks about his orchard and what he's trying to do. It's an amazing experience. You actually walk in, in between the orchard, taste the fruit which he just plucks out of the trees, and you spend about an hour there with him and learn about his story. He tells lots of stories. He's a great man. Every time we go there, usually I meet my groups at the orchard, and we had a group that came in earlier this March, and at the same time we had a school group of young kids from local school. We were told that we don't know who was more surprised, whether the visitors from USA interacting with the children or the children interacting with the visitors. They had a great time for about 30 minutes. So it was fun for them as well. So we spent an hour at the Rayner's Orchard and then head off to a winery for a nice 2-course lunch with some wine tasting. You'll get to see the beautiful valley, Yarra Valley. It's lovely. We go there very often, and the drive itself is just so pretty. We believe that it's the best wine region in Australia. We're very biased about that. So once we have lunch at the one of the wineries there, we'll take you to a chocolaterie. It's a chocolaterie that's a working chocolaterie. You can see chocolates being made. Taste chocolate there. That's not really. You can buy some chocolate on your own, or you can buy an ice cream. The Yarra Valley ice cream is supposed to be very delicious. I can swear it is. You spend some time there looking at chocolate making itself. You can actually watch them from the glass window. Head back to the city, and then we decided that the visit of the Melbourne Skydeck, the tallest, and it's not the tallest now, but it was the tallest a few years ago. We will probably do that during the day instead of the night, so you get an idea of Melbourne city itself. Right now in the itinerary, it's showing as you go in the evening, but we'll switch that to the daytime so that you can see the city from all sides, 360-degree view of the city, which you may not be able to, fully comprehend at nighttime. Right, so that's and then you have dinner that night as well at a local restaurant. So we take it to a local restaurant. If it's within walking distance, we'll walk. The guide will be with you. If it's not within walking distance, the coach will take you there. And that pretty much ends your day in Australia. And now we are heading to New Zealand. So depending on what time the flight departure takes place, you'll check out, transfer to the airport. It's an international flight. So visas will have to be taken. We'll come to that later. It's about 2 or 3 hours flying time from Melbourne to Queenstown. Queenstown is in the southern island, South Island of New Zealand. And once you arrive into Queenstown, you're actually just.
He just gave up or got cut off.
He'll call stream.
Their question,
He's got your phone number. He'll call back.
Queenstown is just arrival transfer to the hotel. You will be staying at the Novotel Hotel.
And if they have a list of people that have been plagued, I'm
Which is
probably right above you.
beautiful location, inside kind of location. Just minutes away from the downtown area, restaurants, shopping. You can just walk around from the hotel. We have the video. Yes. So this is just a tourism campaign video of New Zealand.
If these lands could speak, what would they say? They would say, welcome. They would invite you in to share this extraordinary part of the world. This place, it's yours too. This land is wide open for sharing. Our culture welcomes all cultures. So let us show you around. Lead you to our natural wonders. And throw your head first into our beautiful countryside. Because what you'll find out here, you're here within our mountains, our lakes, and our people. What you'll discover on your journey throughout this precious land was that you're welcome here. Make yourself at home.
So kia ora is what they usually say, like you say, good day in Australia. It's kia ora. How are you? Welcome. It's a common term that you'll hear in New Zealand everywhere in the world. Kia ora. Howdy. Hello. So once again, a map of New Zealand here, North and South Island. You're visiting Queenstown, which is in the South Island. And then let's go through the day-to-day program here. So the next day, a little bit of information on New Zealand here. So its population is only 5 million in New Zealand. And the major cities are your Auckland, Christchurch, Rotorua, Dunedin, Wellington, Queenstown, Napier. These are some of the cities. The main city is Auckland, of course. Wellington is the capital, but we are not going to Wellington on this tour. Flying time is, of course, non-stop, 13 hours from LA to San Francisco. So on your last day, when you're flying out from Auckland, it's a 13-hour flight to the west coast of Australia. Let's keep that in mind. And there are non-stop flights from Auckland. Delta, United, American, and New Zealand. Qantas actually flies Auckland to New York non-stop. It's just recently started. Temperature is pretty much the same as in Australia. Some parts can be a little cooler. The water can be cooler in the ocean, unlike a little bit in Australia. For example, in Cairns, the water is much warmer. Bondi Beach in Sydney could be a little warmer than the water in the ocean in New Zealand. So the next day is actually a full day. So this is just a view of Queenstown from one of the restaurants that you will be visiting. So day 13 is actually a trip to Milford Sound. So this is a view of Milford Sound. So the driving time from Queenstown to Milford Sound is about 3 hours. Obviously, the driver will make stops, restroom stops, and talk to you about the local area, scenic spots. There'll be a few opportunities to take some pictures. You get to Milford Sound area and you will check in for your cruise, a Milford Sound cruise, where lunch is also included on the cruise. So you will spend about 1 or 2 hours on the cruise, get back after the cruise. The cruise takes you to in the Sound area, close to a waterfall as well. You get some spectacular views of the Sound, and if you're lucky, you will also see dolphins swimming along with you along the boat. You've seen it many times. So that's the day. The afternoon ends with the cruise around 3:30, back to the pier, and the coach will take you back to Queenstown. It's a long day. It's a long day on the coach. 3 hours each way, so one has to be prepared for that. And you get back to the city of Queenstown, and dinner is on your own. So the next day is actually a free day for you to walk around the city of Queenstown on your own. Lots of restaurants. There's one place that people rave about. It's called Ferg Burger. Ferg Burger. Ferger Burger. Ferg Burger. They only sell burgers. And believe it or not, any time of the year, there are at least 30 people lined up to. It's crazy. If you just Google Ferg Burger, CNN, NBC, and all these media outlets have written about it. They claim they have the best burgers in the world. We leave it to you to decide.
And how are you spelling that again?
Ferg
And then
Burger.
Ferg Burger.
Ferg Burger.
Oh, okay.
It's a very old institution.
There.
So they have a place that serves beer. So people who pick up a beer right there, keep drinking it, order their burger, eat the burger right there as well.
They sell wine as well.
They sell wine, there's a pastry shop as well. So you have your beer, you have your burger, and you have the pastry as well, right next door. It's all in one place.
I have far to go.
That's it.
So I have a question then, when we fly to Queenstown on the 25th, that also is a free day?
Hey, look, you're losing time as well. Queenstown, New Zealand is 2 hours ahead of Australia. So
Okay.
you will need to check in for your flight, 2.5 to 3 hours flying in
I
Melbourne.
get it now.
You have a 3 hour flying time into Queenstown, and you're already 2 hours ahead.
Oh,
So the day is pretty much
It's
lost. If you
fine.
leave at
I
9,
get it.
if you leave at 9 in the morning, you're going to be at 3 p.m. local time in Queenstown.
All right.
So there's not much you can do other than just relax, unwind, walk around the lakeside area, which is really pretty, very pretty.
so will we have time to go get a burger?
Yes.
You will that morning. In fact, the whole day is free that day
Okay.
on the 27th of
We
October.
gotta try those burgers. That's
Try the burger
Yeah.
and tell us all about it.
See if they're as good as the green chili burger. I'll let you know.
Please, I'm waiting to hear from you. And what's your name, ma'am?
Hilda.
Hilda. So I'm waiting to hear from Hilda on that.
I'll work that.
So wherever you are during the day, get back to the hotel at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The coach will pick you up and take you to the skyline boarding area, where you will actually take a you see the skyline gondola. Not sure if we have an image of that. Well, but this is the view of the city of Queenstown from the restaurant. So the skyline gondola will take you up to the restaurant. It's a buffet dinner. You will have ample opportunity to take some pictures of Queenstown, walk around the the viewing area in the restaurant itself. And once dinner is over, you take the cableway down. And actually, I would recommend just walk back to the hotel. It's a short 10-minute walk. It's all downhill, very easy walk. Take some fresh air, maybe even,
From there, walk down.
yeah, well,
Not
from the bottom.
Where the cable.
Cableway will bring you back to the boarding area
Got it.
on the ground, terra firma. Walk down to the hotel. It's a beautiful walk, and maybe have beer or ice cream or whatever you
We
want.
would have had that up there, so,
Mm.
but it's, the area around the lake is very beautiful.
Just walk around, spend some time, because this is your last night in Queenstown as well. So next day we're heading off to Christchurch. So the next day we're heading off to Christchurch. And it's about 3 hours, 3.5 hour drive from Queenstown to Christchurch. There will be a few stops along the way. Lunch is on your own, and the driver will tell you what's a good place to eat along the way. Once we reach Christchurch, you're going to be taking a boat ride called punting on the Avon, is the river. Now, this is the boat that you will get into. It's a beautiful, serene ride. The river of Avon runs through the city of Christchurch. Just relax and let these guys do their jobs. Absolutely safe. Usually during winter, they even have blankets if you're feeling cold. I think it's there all the time. So if you want to take a blanket, just put it on your knees. And it's a 30-minute boat ride. You will get to see Christchurch, parts of Christchurch town from the boat. Very nice, serene and relaxed. And a lot of ducks. And once you're done, you're check into your hotel around 3 in the afternoon. You have a little free time, and then we'll take you to dinner at the curator's house. The curator's house is actually a house, and it's a restaurant as well. Very popular among the local residents there, and we like to give our guests some experience of the dinner there. It's got a Spanish touch to it in terms of the cuisine, but there's Australian, New Zealand, Kiwi cuisine as well there. So we will, it's a 3-course meal, spend about 2 hours there, have a nice dinner, relax, take you back to the hotel for the night. And the next day, you're actually flying into Rotorua from Christchurch. We made some recommendations on a flight, and you will be able to try and get some in the flights, yeah. So depending on the flight arrival, we have scheduled a visit to the Kiwi Hatchery. It's the National Kiwi Hatchery, where you will learn about how they are, how the kiwis are being protected, what happens when they're born. The weight of a kiwi bird when you're born is about 100 grams.
I don't remember.
Or less.
Yeah, they're tiny.
Very, very tiny, literally. So they have these incubation places where they'll talk to you about it. The guide, local guide there, the Kiwi Hatchery, will tell you more about the life history of the kiwi from the time it's not even born. And I think once it reaches a certain weight, they let them go free to the wild. So it's a protected species as well in New Zealand. So you spend some time, it's a 45-minute tour. And then we get you back to the hotel. They're also visiting some local sites in Rotorua along the way. And in the evening, you have a beautiful cultural experience at Te Patu. So we were there recently, it's a couple of months ago at this place. It's about a 30-minute drive from the city of Rotorua to this place, Te Patu. So there's a welcome ceremony by the local people, Maori people, and they tell you a little bit of their story. And then you enter the place where they have some cultural activities. There's some little bit of dancing. The canapes are served while you're, interacting with them. They tell you a few stories as well. And then after the dance, you can actually see the hangi viewing, which is the food that's cooked by the Maori people is usually cooked underground. So they actually get the food out, mostly meats and some vegetables. So they pull it out of the ground. It's kept there for hours together under heat, so that the meat cooks there.
Like an underground oven.
Exactly. And you pull that up. So that's part of the ritual that they will witness. And then you have a fabulous meal as well.
Yeah.
It's a lovely place. We were there just in August. Then you return to Rotorua around 10 p.m. in the night. So you're spending at least about 4.5 hours at this cultural center, that is Te Patu area. So the cultural dance, the welcome ceremony, the viewing of the hangi, and the dinner. So that pretty much ends your day in Rotorua. So this is part of the things that you'll see. These are images that I took personally. So you will go from one place to the other. It's all just within walking distance. This was pretty amazing. It's like a dance, interactive dance that they want you to take part in, which is quite fun actually, and very interesting. So the next day you're going to Te Puia. Tepuya. So it's a guided experience of Tepuya where you'll actually see the Pohutu geyser, which is a geyser that's still there alive, and you can see, hopefully, and it keeps erupting from time to time, right? The
Yeah.
geyser.
I think every hour or something like that, it just.
It's
it
a gush of
up to-
water.
Yeah, it gushes up
So-
30 feet or 40 feet in the air.
They're actually hot spring, and there's a mud pool that we saw that was just bubbling away. So these are sites that are still there that you can see and witness. It's a geothermal area and been there for ages. In fact, the local people in that village, the Pakara it's called, they actually use, they don't use the other water, they use some of this water from there for their daily needs. So that's how they want to live.
It's really hot, they don't need hot water, they just take it from the river.
So you will actually see the geyser, and you'll also take a guided tour of the Maori Arts Cultural Center, which is right there. You will learn about their wood carving, their crafts institute. What do they do? How do they make all these, wooden structures? So you'll actually see them working in that workshop. And if you're all interested, you can either buy something on your own or just see what they're doing and get to know what they're doing. And then there are many different things. They use straw as well to weave baskets and other artifacts. So it's a very interesting time that you'll spend at this. The afternoon is free, so you can actually wander around in Rotorua. You're actually staying at the Millennium Rotorua, which is a nice property, walking distance to many of the restaurants in the area. So that pretty much ends your day in Rotorua. And this is, did this. The next day, we're heading off towards Auckland and stepping into the village of the Hobbitons movie set. Not sure if you all watched The Lord of the Rings, and the trilogy was shot here actually. But when the original movie was shot, they dismantled the entire sets. So the producer.
They had to rebuild them for the Hobbit
Trilogy.
Oh.
So it's actually farmland owned by a farmer. So the producer actually flew over on a helicopter to scout for areas to shoot this movie, Lord of the Rings, which he did. He chose this area, and everything was dismantled after the movie. But then when they started to shoot for the trilogy, he said, let's go back there and recreate that set. And at that time, the farmer said, you know what, why don't we just leave the sets as they are? So there are thousands of visitors that visit the Hobbiton movie set. It's about 10 hours drive from Rotorua to a town called Mata Mata. And then there's a visitor center there. You will board a bus, which the driver is the guide. There's actually a ranger. There's a guide and a driver, of course, and they take you 15 minutes into the farmland, and suddenly you're at the Hobbiton movie set. So you take a guided walk through all those sets. Now, the picture that you see here, for example, there's nothing really behind the door, it's just wall. However, just this December, they are creating a new abode, like a Hobbit house, where you can actually walk in and walk out. So this is brand new for 2023, end of December. So you will all be one of the few that will get to experience that. When we went in August, they were just building it. We saw it was all metal and brick and wood. They wouldn't allow us to even get to that area. So there's a lot of ups and downs on this guided tour, but it's not difficult. We have seen people with walkers. We have seen people with canes, absolutely safe. A lot of it is made up, even the gardens and the vegetable garden is not real.
Yeah.
And then he will ask you to actually point out a fake tree, an artificial tree that they created. It's very difficult to make out that tree, but you will see, and you'll be very surprised at that tree. They actually imported the leaves from Taiwan, actually, somewhere overseas, and very meticulously had all these people paint them
One leaf
at a time. So the tree is still there. It looks like a real tree, and you will get a chance to identify it when you're there. Hopefully, you will.
Yeah.
So you'll spend about. You actually have lunch at in that area, movie set area. So you spend about 2 hours there, approximately 2.5 hours. and then head to the Waitomo glowworm caves. So the glowworm caves is again a phenomenon. We have one in Australia as well, and New Zealand has a couple of them. So you're actually getting into a cave where you will see these glowworms, and it's dark. So we have to let everybody know that it's dark there, but that's the only way you can see these glowworms. Again, it's a natural, spectacle that you will see. It's amazing. And the guide or the ranger there will tell you the history of what it is, how it is, and why it's there, how deep it is, and how it was formed, and everything you will learn about the glowworms. The Waitomo is one of the famous glowworms area in New Zealand. And we continue to Auckland. So it's a long day that day. And you will get to Auckland around 7:30 in the evening, which is pretty late for dinner, I know. But if we have to do the Hobbiton and the Waitomo and the long drive, that's the time you will reach. So your dinner will be also a late dinner. And your dinner will be in the Orbit restaurant, which is a revolving restaurant on the Sky Tower. Heart of the city, just a 2-minute walk from your hotel. You will have a 3-course dinner at the restaurant. And you will get a 360-degree view in the night. And that pretty much ends your night and stay in New Zealand as well. And next day, you're actually off back to the United States. So I just want to quickly go through a few things that you should know. What to carry, what not to carry. So good walking shoes, sunblock, hat, your phones, cameras, bottle, reusable water. Water is absolutely safe to drink. Tap water is safe to drink in Australia and New Zealand, unless very specifically mentioned. And that happens usually in remote places in national parks. Hotels, restaurants, but absolutely safe to drink water. So carry a reusable water bottle and fill them up and use it. Adapters, you will need, we use 220 volts. In the US, it's 115, but I think most of the mobile phones, laptops are easily adaptable to the 110 as well. Not to carry fruits, absolutely banned. Do not carry anything from the aircraft into any of these countries, not allowed. You will be quarantined, the whole thing is quarantined there, just dump it, leave it. Carry your medicines. If it's a prescription medicine, please carry your prescription as well. We usually, whenever we travel from overseas back to Australia, we always say yes. Even if you're not sure, we say yes. All right, he looks at it, he says, go into this red line, and it's just a couple of minutes, 3 minutes. He said, what do you have? We have prescription medicines. What else do you have? Oh, we have some packaged nuts, almonds that we carried from USA. And he looks at, all right, So it's safe to declare something if you have any doubts, and you have a form that you need to fill up in Australia. Yes, in New Zealand as well, both. Just declare it.
Yeah, and if they ask you to show it to them, please show it to them. So they'll make the judgment, whether it's allowed or not. If it's not allowed, they just take it from you and dump it. So they don't fine you. But if you don't declare it and they find it in your luggage, they will fine you.
I once had a group that we went into Australia, and he forgot that he had an apple in his bag. And we were in Brisbane airport, and he's a travel agent, and he made a mistake of not declaring it. And they actually said, you're carrying an apple. The lady actually weighed the apple, and she said, if this was just 100 grams more, I would have fined you $400. 100 grams more. She actually weighed, and she said, okay, I'm giving you a warning. She printed out a warning sheet for him and said, this is a warning for you. Next time, be very careful. So fruit, food is a normal. And I think this is almost a last slide here. This is just an image of the adapters that we use in Australia and New Zealand. So any of your local adapters that are available here will give you an idea. It's a 3-pronged adapter. So if you have something like that, that will probably be the best.
Something like.
Yep, the one on the right. Any of these universal adapters will work. Right, so we now come to visas. US citizens need an electronic visa for both Australia and New Zealand. Australia needs to be done online. It's called the ETA, which is an electronic travel advice. And it's very simple. Online, there's a small fee to be paid. I think it's $20. And immediately you get an electronic visa.
So we don't use our visa. When you say we can't use, I carry a visa, you can't use that one, you have to use this one.
Passport, you think.
You have a visa when you say you have a visa?
Passport.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right.
Okay, got it.
Passports, yes. So you go to this website and
Oh.
Julie will tell you more about it later. But it needs to be done online for Australia. And it's an immediate thing, $20 or something. You get a visa that's already there in their systems. Can maybe carry a receipt. They usually know once you arrive at immigration that you actually have an ETA. And even when you check in Los Angeles or San Francisco, they will know right away that you do have an electronic visa already approved in the systems. So the airline will have that information. So that needs to be done before you leave the United States. And for New Zealand, it's actually an app that needs to be downloaded. So Julie will be able to help you download the app. It's very simple. Unfortunately, it can't be done on a laptop online. It needs to be done on the app. It's not very difficult. And we've had in the past, actually, people come into the office of some tours, for example, they can get the app downloaded. It's very simple. Passport information is fed, number of days or date of duration of stay is mentioned. And there's a small fee again for that, and it's paid and it's done. And immediately you get a confirmation that you have an ETA, and that's it. Very simple. You don't need to send your passports anywhere out to any visa agency, to the embassy or the consulates here, all online. But that's an absolute must, ETA. Very simple. And we will be in touch with Sun Tours. If there's any challenges that the agency has, we'll be able to help out. And we've also, that's I think pretty much the end of the presentation. If you have any other questions, we'd be happy to answer that.
So you're saying we have to have a visa, one for
Australia and one for
New Zealand, and we need to get those before we leave.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And sometimes will help us.
Yes. And we will help them.
Okay, good.
Now, visas and passports all need to be valid 6
6 months
months
at least, yes.
past your visit. So you're departing on November 1st. So you want to make sure that everything is valid 6 months beyond November 1st.
That's right.
And that's to cover you should you have an illness and have to stay in one of the countries. That's giving you 6 months of coverage on your visas. And hopefully that won't occur, but just in case, just as that safety measure, it is required. There's also another requirement. Once you're going through the visa application process, for people who will become over 75 years of age, while you're in the country, so you're thinking till November the 1st, you could be flagged and requested to have a physical exam. So that's something that could come up, and you won't know that until you go through the visa process. They'll let you know if you're flagged.
In general, they're not very, they're concerned about medical certificates that, your doctors will give you. They're only concerned more about things like tuberculosis.
Yes.
That's something that Australia, New Zealand, are very concerned about. Diabetes, we all have blood pressure and stuff like that. It's all very common stuff. So they just want to make sure that you're not, that there's nothing different that, they're not aware of.
What about if you're 75 before you go over?
Sorry,
If you're 75 before you go over,
that's, I think, okay.
everything's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, it's just while you're
Absolutely.
there.
I think the health risks, once you're over 75 years of age, are a little more to need to caution. So that's why that age bracket falls into that category.
And as Julia mentioned, you may be flagged, which means you may not. Not necessarily for everybody over 75. It's just a random check that they may flag you for. So it doesn't happen that every 75-year-old will be asked to go. It can happen, but it's not that everybody will be done. Plan for it. We see some questions here.
Yeah, there's a couple of questions that's getting asked.
Right, so I think Sun Tours will have an escort that will be escorting you throughout the tour. That's one of the questions. You can take pictures in the caves, yes, but in some places you're not allowed to take pictures, and the local guides and the rangers will advise you on that. Is the tour mostly for older individuals? No, not necessary. Anybody 18 years old, 16 years old can join as well. Some more.
Well, and Eric did mention here, which I think is
Sorry.
important to
Any other
highlight,
questions?
is that we do have limited availability left, so encourage folks to reach out and book
For
soon.
this trip?
This trip, yes.
Right, look, it's October, it's November right now, and the airline seats will become available very soon. And I'm sure that once the airline seats are booked, the airlines will want a deposit, they want to make sure who's registered. So the sooner you register with her, the better we can get all these airline seats filled up and lock it in, and then, you're all set for it. So feel free to ask us any questions. If there's something we don't know, we will find out and let you know. But I just want to end this presentation with a few fun facts that you might want to know about, may not know about. Did you know that Australia has 1 million camels?
1 million
Camels, yes, 1 million camels. And Australia also exports camels to the Middle East. Now you may ask, how did this happen? This happened about 100 years ago when the British actually wanted to build a telegraph line, a telegraph station right in the heart of Australia to communicate with the Queen. But to do that, they had to get equipment across the center of the country. So they had to build a train track. Now they tried many things that they couldn't help it. So they said, let's get the camels from Afghanistan. Let's get the Afghans with their camels. So they're called the Afghan cameliers. So they brought them in to build this telegraph station. And once that was done, they said, what do we do with these camels? So they let them go free, wild. So, and they bred 1 million camels. And so in Uluru, for example, you actually can do a sunset view on a camel, sunrise view on a camel, and in some other parts of Australia as well. In Western Australia, you have a camel sunset ride on the beach in Broome, in the city called Broome. One of those fun facts. What else can we tell them? We have 60 species of kangaroo. Very different, yes, absolutely. Then there's also Bob Hawke, our ex-Prime Minister of Australia, who apparently downed a liter of beer in 11 seconds. and he says that it's probably that gave me the political clout, and he became a prime minister. So it's an island, it's a continent. We have 7,000 islands around Australia. So that's, and if you were to go to one beach every day of the year, it will take you 29 years to visit all the beaches in Australia. Right? Keep that in mind. It's a little bigger than you think, but it's as large as the United States mainland. So the flights back and forth, we will leave it to Sun Tours to respond to.
And we had talked about dress.
Yes, well, outfits, dressing. I'm actually overdressed for an Aussie. It's very laid back, absolutely casual. There are no formal dinners or lunches that you need to wear anything fancy. Just be yourself. Jeans, sweater, what you're wearing, sir, is absolutely perfect for Australia and New Zealand. Carry a warm jacket because places like the Phillip Island, you're actually facing the ocean. And you'll be sitting there for an hour even before the penguins come out. You may feel cold. It can be a windy day that day. So just carry a jacket for the journey. Good shoes is an absolute must. There's a lot of walking in Australia. So be prepared for that. That's about all I would say.
So did you say that this trip is almost full?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 6 or 7.
We have 8 rooms.
8 rooms left.
Yes. Wow. 8 rooms.
So if any of you,
Max on our hotel rooms. We have 8 rooms left.
so if any of you have not registered, this is the right time to register.
Yes.
You're in the right place, in good hands. Please register. It's an amazing place to visit. you will be very pleasantly surprised by Australia and New Zealand. It's really out of this world. It's vast, it's got unique wildlife, it's got unique cuisine as well. The outback, scenery, the Great Barrier Reef. These are some of the things that we talk about when we talk about Australia. Great, thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much for coming
Thank you.
out. Thanks
Thank
to
you,
everyone for coming, and thanks to everyone on the Zoom. Hopefully, everyone has had all their questions answered, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on this tour.
I have a couple questions about the air flights. Are they like that? I hate to say the word cheapest, but the cheapest seats, and can you upgrade to a more?
We can work on upgrades for the longer flights.
That's all I'm
Definitely,
talking about.
definitely. We'll have 5 intra flights, as he mentioned how large Australia is. You're gonna add
Oh,
New
yeah.
Zealand as well.
Yeah,
So there are 5 intra flights. Those will most likely all just sit together. But for your overseas flights, absolutely. So
Yes.
you'll just need to let us know, so that we can work on upgrades for you.
okay, and the other question, but I'm trying to get a friend to go with me,
Okay.
and she doesn't want to do that. She just thinks the flight will be horrible. So I just wondered, what time do you like leave?
It's an overnight flight.
Everything is overnight.
Yeah, so
It doesn't take 17 hours or 14 hours to go overnight.
it's a long flight, and what we're looking at, just some examples that we're
Yes.
looking at. Is departing late afternoon,
Later.
and then again, we have time change, we're crossing the international date line. So we'll leave on the 12th in the afternoon.
Okay.
We'll arrive from Albuquerque. We'll arrive the morning of the 14th. So we lose the 13th.
Right.
On the way back, we'll depart Auckland on November the 1st. We'll arrive in the United States on November the 1st, because we'll gain that day back. So the flight, it's gonna be an overnight flight, so time to sleep and rest. The cabins on those overnight flights, they usually dim the lights and kind of make it comfortable for everyone to sleep through the long flight. Any other questions regarding any of the flights or? Well, I think it was a fantastic presentation. I
much.
go.
Put it on the list.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going on the list for
Absolutely.
sure.
It's a beautiful country. We love it. We lived in the US as well. Look, beautiful national parks here as well. And every time we come here, we see national parks that we haven't seen before. But it's so different out there. It's very different from the United States. And you will really have a great time in New Zealand and Australia. And the warmth of the people that are, the Australians and the Kiwis.
They're very friendly.
Very friendly people. Yes, their hearts will go out to you and welcome you, and we welcome you there. So please come. Please
Thank you.
join. Please sign up.
Thank you so much.
Again,
Thank you, everybody.
so much.